All right. Hello, everyone. Right now, I know it's just Roll Keeper, and hello, Roll Keeper. Good to see you. Welcome to episode 5. This is my 5th one. Um, just kind of, of this small little stream that's doing what it can to to make its mark in the world. Like I said, it's me, Head Cannon, also known as Derek, and we are on the way, continuing our march to 500. I think we're at 148 right now. When I hit 500, I'm going to do a giveaway. I've talked about this before. We'll talk about some more. But I hope everybody's having a good week so far. I know a lot of folks will catch this because there's a lot of other YouTube stuff going on tonight. I get that, so I know a lot of folks that catch us on the replay. So to them, the replay, welcome when you get here. So what I want to do is tonight, as what's happening over here? Just checking a few things. All right. So I'm going to get started, and as more people come in, you'll just have to catch up this. So tonight, my guest is everybody knows him, everybody loves him. He's the nicest guy that runs a channel that talks about fighting, and we never have any fighting on his channel. But it's without further ado, it's Abhi. Hey, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, reaching out and helping to give me a platform on Tuesday nights for open mic. That's not a lot of folks do that. And I know it can get kind of chaotic sometimes, but
it can.
I think we've kind of settled into a good group of usual suspects that show up on that show. So we're starting to slowly learn not to talk over each other.
I think it is going to change up a little bit though in the future. I think it'll bring in less people and have people sitting in the backstage longer. And just rotate more. I just feel like that's probably the better bet. That way it stops the talking over.
Yeah,
because I've seen it too, and I've heard, I talk to a lot of people who watch, and that's one of the biggest complaints. The chaos.
Yeah, well, but it kind of fits the idea of the steel man, the Royal Rumble type of
it is no holds barred, right?
Yeah, I know sometimes for me it's not so much I try to talk over people. It's I don't talk at all because I'm now I come from the old school where it's you don't speak if somebody else is talking type of
got you
type of deal. So I wait for patiently for a moment to jump in. So
and I think that's like another balance that's kind of needed. Normally when someone is blown up larger, that's really their time to shine. So people shouldn't be talking over that unless they have questions.
Yeah.
But
it's again, this is all we're all. There's no formula to this. No matter what the YouTube. They say YouTube has an algorithm, but who knows what? Nobody can figure that out. So it's all just learning as we go along with that. So
it's about having fun, though. That's the most important part.
Yeah, and like I was telling you before in the backstage, I think I told those that watch, all three of the people that watch, that mainly my main reason for starting this is because it's we're all in the chat together, and you go to all the shows. And you see the same people in the chat, and we've all kind of gotten to know each other in the chat. But I just want an excuse to kind of get to know folks better, in this YouTube. So that's why, I was, very, very honored to start out with Chad and the Laser Pants Articulated Ninja and folks like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd actually, I enjoyed having John Kukovich on last month.
Yep.
Somebody in the chat, for Mikey and Zakani and all of them, and we kind of vibed a little bit, so I want to get to know that person. So, appreciate
That's very right. I met Roll Keeper again actually at IshCon, and that was awesome.
Well, here's an announcement. So next month, because I only do this once a month, is Roll Keeper is going to be my guest awesome. Next month. I'm going to do a behind the wrench expose.
That's good.
With that, and he already said yes, so he's contractually obligated To be
He's
honest, 'cause
a very interesting person. You should
whether he
definitely
wants to or
talk.
not.
Yeah,
Did I see a picture of him and you at
yeah. I
IshCon?
have a Yep. There's a picture of us with a selfie. Yep.
Yeah. So before, because I want to ask some some stuff about you. You may have talked about it in previous podcasts before.
Hmm.
You know a little bit about you, but first let's get the. Um, yeah, I'm glad you agreed to come on right after. I know you're at a con all weekend. This is kind of like your the IshCon's kind of like your Super Bowl. That's the one you all you really hype. I know you and Ish are good friends and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and you do a lot to hype it. And you had the table. You said right in the middle of Valverse and who's else was
Well,
it?
actually, it got changed a little bit. Ish told me the day
Oh,
of that it got changed. It was supposed to be Savage Crucible, but between Savage and myself, Articulated Empire Toy Shop
okay,
came in, which was fun too. They were great neighbors.
yeah,
I like he was selling a bunch of cool things, and I definitely walked over there and bought stuff.
yeah.
They were cool neighbors.
But you're
It
in the
was
middle of the mix. I mean, like
Yeah, I
you're
was right
there,
next to
the hottest
Bobby and
the hottest
Jordan.
part of hottest part of the whole thing. You're and Jordan's is another one. I'm trying to find a way to reach out to Jordan because I want to get him on my show too. I want to bring the
It's
behind the
hard.
scenes guy behind.
Yeah, no, I've actually asked him as well a few times,
Yeah.
and he keeps saying, "Nope, I'm behind the scenes guy on purpose." But
We'll
one
cover
day
his
we'll
face
get
up
him.
or something. Yeah, we'll get him. So,
We'll
uh,
get him.
so, uh, so can you kind of just give us a quick rundown of Ishkan and
Oh, it was a lot of fun, honestly. So Friday was the setup day, and then of course, vendors get curious and they start walking around. I mean, I'm pretty sure by Friday, that was vendor setup day. I'm pretty sure I already spent like $500-600 Friday. And then I was like, I need to slow down because I haven't sold anything yet, so I need to
yeah,
calm down a little bit. Then Saturday, as it started, I mean, again, there was lines separate for different things. So the Valaverse had its own line.
yeah,
So people lined up either Valaverse or it was Mythic Legions and then other. That's how the lines were formed outside. And then as soon as the doors opened, everyone ran to their prospective places. And then, I was getting all the Valaverse people since I was right next to Valaverse right
right,
after they were first, and then I was second. So everyone walked by me. And then I would say I had some good mix of things. I was happy with how much I sold.
okay,
I also traded, bartered with people too, so that was cool, and it was fun. Hell, I even bought from people who showed up to my booth, so it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience. And then Jenna say what? She came and in cosplay on Saturday as Gemini,
okay, yeah,
so she was sitting in my booth with me, and kind of helping me, just chit chatting, and once it got a little slow here and there, but it was fun. She did her part, and then Sunday she joined me again in a different cosplay as a what is that Warhammer? She came in a Warhammer cosplay.
okay.
Yeah,
So and now she's going to be joining you in the gang tomorrow night on open
yeah,
mic night, right?
yeah. So
So,
tomorrow is going to be a special episode of Open Mic Night,
okay,
like in the sense of it's going to be an IshCon aftermath is what I'm calling it, because
okay,
I was laughing about it. The reason aftermath is kind of seen as a negative thing, even though it's not negative in this situation. It's very positive. But when I looked at how much I bought,
yeah.
I was like, yeah,
So did you return with more than you went there with, or did you?
yes.
Oh,
So Saturday night, I had to. I packed up one of the suitcases. I packed up a suitcase with all my figures I had bought, and I went to my house and I dropped it off at the house, or emptied. I emptied out the
oh,
suitcase and I went back with an empty suitcase. But it was worth it. Again, like it was just funny because like I would randomly look over at Jordan or Bobby, like, "Hey, do you have this? Can I buy it?" And then I would just buy stuff so I could just play with it at my table. So that was a lot of fun. Playing around
yeah,
with toys was a lot of fun. And then yeah, no, it was just fun walking around, meeting Duarte, meeting D Amazing again. Watching the Q&A. Vishay was there
yeah,
too, and that was a lot of fun. Getting to see everyone.
yeah.
So that was cool. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it, and it was my first time being a vendor at a like I would say this is like a smaller con, but like it was the biggest one
Yeah.
that I was a vendor at. In other words, so but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's my I was I'd been thinking about going been back and forth on DFW, but
You
just
should go.
we're
You should
well.
go.
The thing is we just can't pull. We have some things come up,
Okay.
and so it's kind of like one of the. I suppose then. So I'm trying to tell my wife like next year plan for DFW. That will be the thing. So that way we can put the money aside for it, and we're
Yep.
budgeters. So
No,
we're
I
you
remember
know
you tell. I remember you
yeah
saying that actually,
yeah. So
and I appreciate that coming from an accountant. So
yeah. So yeah we uh just long story, a lot of things, and lost house foreclosure back in the '08 collapse, and stuff like
yep,
that, and been rebuilding slowly
yep.
ever since, and stuff like that. We're got hooked on that Dave Ramsey stuff,
Okay.
whereas and then just kind of went overboard to the point where I actually every car we bought with cash was used cars, and then finally had to get to the point where I had to actually go to a dealership to to get a car. And the guy
Hmm.
asked me and my wife, he's like, just out of curiosity, because you don't look like this, why does the credit bureau say you two don't exist? It's like
Oh.
that's because we haven't taken any credit. We had no credit cards. We
Hmm.
hadn't done anything. We just paid everything with cash and
Cash.
worked our debt off.
Yeah.
Where there's no debt.
No, that's amazing.
So
Yeah.
then which means we took it in the rear on interest on this van, this
Hmm.
used van that we got, and then but it was one of those places that they actually recorded it. They sent your every payment you made to the credit bureau,
Yep.
so it built our credit up. And then we were just recently we bought a house using our VA loans, and slowly eventually we got a credit card, but we only use it for food, grocery shopping, and gas. Then we pay that off, so we build that up. So, but we're very careful with this is like probably our
Hmm.
first year of actual financial stability in a
Okay.
long time. So we're so we had a couple things that came up and some repairs and stuff, and so kind of looking at the whole DFW. I was just going to be me, and I was going to take my son out, but still, that's
Hmm.
this the flight was like the hotel room wasn't that bad, but it's the flight
Yeah,
that's
the
where
flight. Yeah, that's where
the
they
kicker
get
was.
you.
So
Yep.
but now I know about where that is, and I kind of got an idea of what to look for. We can start budgeting
Hmm.
for either her and I are going, or me and one of my kids, going out for that. So,
That's
but
nice.
we used to in Orlando back when we lived down there. We went to like MegaCon and the Anime Con, and then the 2 years that the back the old was the Fun Publications that when they ran the GI Joe Club.
Okay.
They had their they had a convention, two conventions down there, the Space Heroes, but we went to both of those because they were right in our backyard,
Backyard. Okay.
and I loved them. They were fun. And here in Northeast Florida, where I'm at now, we don't have a lot of. We have some small like toy shows. I'll go set up at the
Hmm.
Ramada, for like on a Sunday afternoon.
I
So
mean, but any little bit counts too,
yeah,
Like, I mean, we have. I mean, again, I was in this area. There's so many collectors in Raleigh, North Carolina area.
yeah,
Toyamic Display. He's one of the guys who started Action Figure Alliance, and then there's another person named Ash. They had started this NC Underground Toy Swap, just local to Raleigh area, and then it eventually started moving statewide. But it started slow. Once every 3 months they would do a show, like a swap at a
yeah,
comic or like at a toy or comic shop,
yeah,
and it just kind of grew. There's like 5,000 members now on that group. Not everyone shows up, obviously, but now they do like one or two shows a month.
yeah.
It came to a point where it got a lot. It grew very quickly, and now it's there's plenty of shows. Like you go
Yeah.
to a local show.
But also too, I'm kind of at a point in life too where I want to go to the shows, not so much for because you can find deals. I know a lot of people. It's kind of weird that uh, a lot of people want to charge more for what their stuff's really worth, and you can find deals, but I want to go more for like to go, meet Bobby and meet you and all these other
Hmm.
folks that like here online in person,
Yeah.
and do the hangout stuff and
Hmm.
to get together. That's kind of stuff I'm more interested in as I've gotten
That's also a
uh,
lot of fun too, though.
I've gotten
Yeah.
older. Is all these, if I put a, I see you, but you're a real person, and,
I'm not AI, I
yeah,
promise.
yeah, we're not AI generated. Like, like my kids, every once in a while I walk by and he'll be watching some YouTuber that's just a, uh, you know, I guess they put a digital mask on their face or
Okay.
something. I'm like, what is this crap? It's
Well,
like,
I mean, it really depends. I mean, I've
yeah.
seen all walks of life on when it comes to like YouTube stuff. It's crazy. Uh, with different people doing different things. That's very
So
true, Role
yeah.
Keeper.
So I saw Friday. I was busy Friday, so I wasn't able to watch. Or actually, you did the Friday night a little bit
The
early because you did the hall swap, right?
I did Friday early mostly because I knew
Yeah.
Ninja was going live at 9 o'clock.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, I don't want to jump on Ninja's time. And plus, I'm at a con too, right? So I
Yeah.
want my night, and that way I could go hang out with
Yeah.
everyone and stuff like that. Uh, so I
So
changed it to early, but I never ended up going. I was at the swap because it started around 5 p.m., like 5:30. It started.
yeah.
So I was down there till about like 7:10, 7:15, and then I finally went upstairs. I already bought the stuff I wanted to buy, and then I was like, I don't really want to come back down.
Yeah.
I was like,
So,
there was about 10 tables set up though, so there weren't as many as you
yeah.
typically see. So I
Yeah.
was just like, I could skip going down, but then I was lucky enough that Bobby let me take the Vanguard Hall
So
accessory kit.
that's what I was getting to. So I missed
Yeah,
that, and then like today, I think you or somebody went back and they cut that
yeah,
little segment
I
into.
clipped that out and I put
So
it
that
as a.
popped up, and I immediately smashed my finger through the phone. Now you didn't get to keep that, right? Or
I did not
it
know.
didn't go into the suitcase and
Well,
come back.
it was in my other box bag, but I took it downstairs and gave it back to them. They gave me shit for not packing it properly.
Uh,
I was like, listen, I don't put toys back in the box once I open them. So,
yeah, I'm an opener. You're like I didn't throw the box away and
but
clip those 3 points off and put it in a bag.
but again, it was cool to kind of have it in hand and go through it. I wish I had a Vanguard with me. I would just see if I could try to
Yeah,
attach it. Um, but yeah, no, it was cool to experience that, and then also very appreciative of Bobby for letting me do that on the show.
now, does he have a price point on those yet, or they were just there for just show?
It was just for show. I didn't even ask him about a price point. Honestly, I'll buy
I mean,
it.
yeah, that's like I care about what that is because that's one of the few things I'll spend a little extra money because I've got
Yeah.
those two Vanguards back there,
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll probably and they're the gray ones. I'll probably take one. I'll kind of leave that without. I've got the rocket launcher on it, but I'll probably leave that. I'll take it off picture, and that'll be like my executive protection vehicle. And the other one, I want to take all that Vanguard stuff and completely
Overhaul it. Yeah.
armor it up. But I'll probably buy a second one just for the second vehicle. Do a garage diode arm one. And
I was gonna
will be
say
on the back of it.
it would be cool to do a garage dio and just have those extra pieces there.
Yeah,
It'll come in handy for the shots, that's for sure. Because you have a lot of options to kit it out, and you don't have
yeah,
to do all of it. You could do some of it. So
yeah. That's what I love about it. Like, I love the Vanguards, and I don't really, like I said, when like the Vanguard was probably one of the most expensive things I've bought.
okay.
Usually I'm a Marvel Legends collector and McFarlane's. I'm used to spending 20, 25 for a figure, and then the
You didn't buy
Valor
that.
stuff.
You didn't buy that $200 or $280 stage set from McFarlane.
No,
I was just kidding.
no. I'm very picky with the McFarlane figures I do buy though. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, but with the Valor stuff, yeah, I'm deep into that. But still, like you're only telling me what is the basic troopers are around 20, 22 or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, between 20 to 22.
Deluxe
Yeah.
are 29.
Yeah.
For those, and it's just and all the stuff you get with them, and then the gear packs, and
Oh.
like my goodness. And then so when they announced the Vanguard, I said, okay, this I will pre-order the Vanguard. I'll pay the 189. For that. That will be, and that's like I don't pre-order a lot of stuff because I don't like to wait for it, especially something I have to wait for it to actually be manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't built the whole thing yet.
No,
So that was the only other one I've done since then is I do have the ramen tank on pre-order.
Oh, okay.
I do want that. And what killed it, what said it for me is when Ninja did that in-hand review.
Oh,
And he had a discount code for it. So
oh,
even though the shipping and all that eats up the discount code.
You know, there was an
It was
unpainted.
enough to make me go, okay, I'm gonna put that down. And I wish I would have had. I wish I was able to get like the flanks
Mhm.
to add onto it. But the tank, I'll be happy with just that tank because it's amazing looking after seeing.
I mean, just wait till the
Yeah,
customizers get to it afterwards.
yeah,
They'll make some cool things and accessories for it. I
yeah.
was gonna say I saw the tank was at IshCon as well,
Oh,
like an unpainted one. That was
okay,
cool. Yeah, that was cool
yeah,
to look at and like to see how it is.
yeah. So, did they have any? Was there like an exclusive, or did did vendors have their own exclusives, or was there one overall IshCon exclusive, or
Well, I know Valaverse had the Wraith
right?
Praetorians. I mean, I'm playing with one in my
Yeah,
hand right
sure.
now.
Yeah, God, that's amazing looking.
Yeah, it's actually really dope. I went a little ham with this one. Um, but I also bought for some other people, so it worked out well.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's any other show exclusives. I know Mythic Legions had that legendary barbarian. That was
Yeah.
one of the show exclusives. Savage had the white Lemurian. That was also one
Okay.
of the show exclusives that they're doing at all the shows. And I'm trying to figure out if I don't think Ewok or Sparrow had anything. So
Oh,
the one
Duarte.
at Duarte was a
Oh,
painted
he's got
one.
a hold of a tank.
That's cool. So I saw
Oh,
his tank
wow.
too, and that was I thought he printed it. That's cool.
Oh, that looks
Uh,
good.
it looks really good painted, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the only exclusives. I know there was a lot of games and prizes that were happening throughout the night,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday. So a lot of people won
How
some
did
fun things.
the poker chip thing go off? Did that go off,
Yeah.
or was there problems?
I mean, no, it went off. People, I think someone did win with the 7 poker chips, the final grand prize. But it was interesting how it was because the 4 main vendors had poker chips just for them. Then there were 3 other colors
Yeah.
that random vendors got. So I think me and D Amazing had the black ones. So I had a set of black ones on my booth, and D had some of his, and there's some other vendors who had different colors.
Okay.
So it was. I was telling Ish after Saturday night, I was like, that was a really good idea
Yeah.
because it made everyone go talk. It made everyone go talk to every single vendor.
It was a great idea that you got your chips back after the contest
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, that
'Cause
was kind of the guarantee. Yeah,
otherwise, I'd probably go around and get all the chips and go, well, I don't want to give these up because I may not win the prize, but I got these cool.
yeah. No, everyone gets their chips back. That was part of the thing because it's a keepsake from the show.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's fun to have those chips. I mean, it was funny because I'm pretty sure Jordan, Bobby, and myself were looking for the chips on Friday, and we all got a set each Friday. But I made the promise I wouldn't enter for the grand prize. I was like, I just want the chips.
Oh,
Yeah.
not me like the same 4 people that win prizes on Figure Fight Club when it.
It's not the same 4 people. We have some variety.
Five people.
Well,
win.
members only is a little different, right?
Yeah.
I'm still growing. I'm still
Yeah.
growing.
Well,
But
the pool is smaller for members only.
yes,
So the
which
chance
is it's an advantage, right?
but that also means the chance of people winning again multiples is a little bit higher. So it's
That's
just
also
the
very true.
way it runs. Like I said, like like I said, I was one of the first winners that you
Mhm.
did,
And you got a Mythic Legions, right?
yeah, the Dubon,
Dubon, yep.
yeah, which then grew to me getting the Elf Ranger, and then the Zyglinian Guard, and then the horse, and then this week
You got and the horse.
I bought a horse, which I like. I was looking at them and it's like, but then I found out from the Four Horsemen website they're cheaper.
Yep.
Then so I was like, okay, I'll get that then. And then I finally was able to track around the Elite Elf, and I want to show that off when we do our pickups
Okay.
tomorrow night. And now I want to get another one of the Elite Elves because it's got the half orc head in the arms and legs. That was like the first time I ever pop. I actually watched a video because I want to do this without messing these things up. And the guy's like, they're made to actually pop apart more easier than. I know Valve figured you got to heat those up, and I'm still not comfortable popping anything off of those. but it was fairly easy to get this thing apart because they made it to come apart.
Yeah, it's meant to pop. Like so, Ish at the IshCon, Ish does this every year, and it's a pop-in. It's essentially a kit bash station.
Yeah.
So every year it's like build your own figure,
Yeah.
and there's like certain rules of what you get when you purchase it. But it's really cool because it keeps people busy and kind of creative there and sitting there, and then you kind of just take your time and do your thing. Uh, I've done a few of those, and it's really fun.
Yeah. So I've also got a couple things in my big bad toy store. I don't have it. I don't do the pile of loot because
Uh-huh.
but I do like put stuff like click it and like hold it for as a reminder. So I got a couple of this. I think it says the male, the female elf, the builder
Mhm.
sets.
Okay.
But there's
So
like $75 a piece. I'm like,
you're diving deep into the
like,
Mythic Legions, huh?
yeah, but I'm trying to limit it to just that elf faction, the
Got you. Okay.
Woodland faction. So, but then and also I was like, man, couldn't find the elf weapon set anywhere online. And then when we talked about you having one, I was like, I
Mhm.
need that.
I have the gold set. Yeah, the gold set
that-
I have.
That's fine. It's going to look really good with what I got.
Mhm.
And I also got. I've had a piece of that XPS foam I've been saving forever
Mhm.
because I want to try doing a dio, and then I finally figured out now that the Myth of Legion, so I finally figured out what kind of dio I want to do. So it's a very simple build plan. I just got to find the time to start cutting it up and building it.
You're
It's
gonna
going to go
do
with
like
my Myth of Legions.
grasslands.
No, I'm going to do like I'm going to do a like a watchtower.
Oh,
Like
that
so
would
it's
be
like
cool.
so it's like real thin,
Yeah.
and then eventually then kind of do like a So I want to build that first, then get another one to lay down to put it on top of. It's going to be like a road, a forest road.
Okay.
So this it's kind of like a guard tower, like a stopping point on the forest road for stuff. So I'm going to try my hand with that. I've not been too good at customizing. I'm kind of timid or I'm impatient a lot of times. If I start on something,
You want to finish it quick.
Like I've got this. I've got this thing I have taped up to paint.
Oh, what color are you painting it?
I'm going to paint it brick red and then go back in with black and some gray and do kind of like square digi to make it a crimson.
The crimson. I was gonna say it sounds like Crimson Shadow, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know what kind of paint. When I'm at Walmart, I just don't go over there and get it.
Okay.
And it's just delay. So just kind of just want to ask some stuff about you personally, and you don't have to answer any question you don't want to. So so you were how old were you when they threw you out of your original country?
My original country.
when they said, this guy's got to go.
I moved to the States when I was when I was turning 5 or when I was 5.
Okay.
Essentially, yes. I moved to the States at 5 years old, and I was a very confused child because I was in Europe, so I was learning. I was speaking German, English, or not English, but German, Hindi, Punjabi, which are the native languages. And then when moving to U.S., I lived here in North Carolina, actually in Concord, but we were there for a short amount of time. Then all of a sudden moved to Laredo, Texas, which was pretty much like Little Mexico, to be honest with you. And it was mostly dominantly Spanish speaking. So then Spanish came into the mix. So I was, Hindi, Punjabi, German, English, Spanish, and it was a jumble of everything because
I'm
was
just trying to imagine what Hindi would sound like with either a Spanish accent or a Texas drawl on it.
Exactly, you're right. So I was a very confused child until finally we moved to Virginia, and we stayed in Virginia the whole time, and then things got better after that. I was in let's just say I was in the slow reading group because I struggled to learn English actually.
Yeah. Well, English, we all speak it. And we, it's things like we're born with it, so we think it's actually. I hear English is like one of the harder languages.
Actually, they say that English is the easiest language to learn.
Our French was supposed to be the easiest.
Really? Okay. I don't know French, so I have no idea. But I know German was a pain in the ass too.
Oh yeah, that's all just grunts and spit and
you have to look like you're pissed off when you talk. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Well, yeah, yeah. That, I used to work for Mercedes Benz,
Uh-huh.
and they had a warehouse here in the states, and I remember every time once in a while some folks would come over from Germany,
Hmm.
and I was taking like these folks on a tour, and they were like, um, excuse me, I need to talk to her, but I can only do it in German. And it's like these like two sweet ladies, and I'm like, well, sure, go ahead. And all of a sudden, it's sprechen Sie Deutsch. It's like whoa. So
It just got harsh. So, like, are you yelling at her?
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
What did
What?
she do to you?
Oh, no, we're not yelling. We're just having a nice conversation, friendly conversation.
Yep. Yeah.
Sounds like you're yelling to me.
It's very the language is very brute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see why they had to try to take over the world 2 times. Yeah, that's you
It's
get
it's a it's
frustrated.
a problem that they have sometimes. No offense to the German people.
Yeah, no. So, and I know you go by Abby, in real life you have like another name because I LinkedIn stalked you.
Yep. Yeah, no,
You know,
no. My
yeah,
real name
but
is Abhinav. That's my
Abhinav. Okay,
Abhinav is my full name. I
yeah,
cut it in half, so it's Abhinav. So I
yeah,
just go by Abhi,
yeah.
Abhi.
And then you
Just
told me
makes
that
it
like,
easier.
and then you told me like you tried an Americanized name for a while.
I did have an
Yeah,
American name when I was younger,
yeah.
and I stopped using it in college. I think is when
Okay,
I started making that shift because I would still respond to it, but even some of my friends today call me by my American name.
yeah.
It's so weird when I hear it because I was like, man, I haven't heard that in a long time. But it was Abe,
Yeah.
ABE. And the reason I started going back to my original name was because people would butcher that too. They would look at me and then look at the name and look at me again and be like, Ab. Like, come on, bro.
Oh, I
Like,
was gonna say, how do you butcher
seriously.
Abe? It's like now. See, uh, I
Yeah.
was stationed in Japan for a year
Okay.
when I was in the Marine Corps back in the '90s. So we'd go out in town,
Hmm.
me and my buddies, and our rule was is that if we went to any place that had a lot of Americans, we'd go someplace else because our goals when we went out in town, we were going out, to party, but we wanted to experience the culture of the
The
people.
culture. Yeah.
And so I had to start tell when people would ask me what my name was, um, yeah, I because it's Derek, so which
Hmm.
is a very German name, but
Yeah.
it's Japanese has a hard time with the hard R there in the
Hmm.
middle. So it was like that, so I just use my middle name. I would just use that Allentown. So I get that. And another thing you tell people you're an accountant. And a lot of people
Hmm.
that conjures the mind of the guy behind with a big ledger book and the green visor and debits and credits and you
Well,
know
I do debits and
hack
credits every day.
the yelling at Bob Cratchit to
Yep.
don't put the coal in the but you're actually a little bit more than just an accountant. It's more you're not doing just taxes and CPA stuff. You're do
Yeah,
you
I'm
mind
more
talk
finance.
about that a little bit?
You know, that's fine. I'm a
Yeah,
chief financial officer for a tech company. I'm more in finance. It's more of a one man army, to be honest with
yeah,
you. I would say I'm in the best work environment I've been in ever in my career, and that's because when I first started in accounting path and everything, I was a workhorse, right? Like
yeah,
I wanted to grow as fast as possible, get the most experience. So all I did was work. I sacrificed everything else. I wanted to work. I wanted to learn, take everything in, burn out, take a break for a little bit, and then go back to it, which helped because my career skyrocketed. I left my first job and I knew what senior level people knew in within
yeah,
2 years. After that, I jumped into, I worked for a GovCon for a few times, but then I wanted to do more hardcore accounting, monthly
yeah,
closes and stuff. So I went to a consulting firm, and that experience was like 1 year, it's like 5 years experience
yeah,
at these consulting firms. So, and half at that time, at least half of my career, for a long time, half of my career was in consulting.
yeah,
And that was just another big skyrocket. So, eventually, I ended up at a different consulting firm in Maryland, and then made my way to partner. So I was their youngest partner. At the age of 35, I made partner. But my wife was against it, though. She was like, "Listen, you're already working 70 plus hours a week.
yeah,
You're constantly stressed out. It's just going to get worse." Which she was right. It did. But the two career goals I put for myself was get a CPA which I never
Yeah.
did. But the last one was, or the more important was, to make partner or a
Yeah.
CFO at a company. When I made partner, I became a client CFO, and that was my external title. So I was a
Okay.
CFO for my clients, but then internally I was a partner. So
Okay.
I figured I was two birds, one stone. Uh, I did it for about a year and a half. Then I resigned. I left. I was like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I left and went to another. I went to a company that did work for NASA, a
Okay.
government contractor. I went there for a little while with the promise. I went to my mentor actually. He hired me with the promise that I would only work 40 hours a week. Uh, that didn't last long. I started working 75, 80,
Oh.
and stress like
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, granted, I ran a department. I ran the accounting. I got promoted to. I was in finance originally, but then I got promoted to take over the entire department of accounting. And so then I had to work with like 16, 17 people who were overseas in India. I had a small team in US with like 5 people. I was commuting from North Carolina to DC or to Maryland every like once a month for like a few days, like a week.
Yeah.
Uh, Granted, the perks were nice. Every time I would come visit, it's free food in the office, free food for
Yeah.
dinner. I was going to football games, baseball or basketball games, football
Yeah.
games. I was like, got what's it called, like the shooting range, and
Yeah.
entertainment was there, but it was all work
Yeah.
related, and everything was work, and it was just rough. But I guess the light at the end of the tunnel was, when I had made my decision to finally just quit without having another job. I was at Heroes Con in Charlotte, where my current boss called me, and he was one of my old clients, and
Yeah.
he was like, "Listen, we're not happy with the company that we're, the consulting firm. We want to hire a CFO internally." And the first person we thought of was you because we loved you when you were there.
Yeah.
And ever since you left, it's never been the same. And I was like, I know. Uh, and they were like, well, we want to hire you. I was like, I have a 2-year non-compete. So so I was like, it's gonna be like another. At that time, it was around a year and a half. So I was like, listen, my slate clears in October. If we could push it to October, I'm 100% in.
Yeah.
We talked about salary after that, and I was able to fire my old consulting firm when
Man.
I came on. And now it's like I came on first day as CFO. I let them know that I'm the CFO, and
Yeah.
we're giving you a 3-month notice today. And after that,
Yeah.
I took over. I mean, I did everything for them already. I had created the whole process
Yeah.
since I was the partner. So it was like coming back into one of my old places and just doing everything with my eyes closed. So now today
Yeah.
is a very different story. Like I don't like my boss respects my personal time.
Yeah.
He's a collector, not of like action figures, but he has like
Yeah.
trading cards and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've sold him some action figures too before a few times, but uh, he's just now. I mean, he's the collector. They all know I do this whole YouTube thing. He's subscribed. He watches, and he'll send me like pictures at different. He goes to a lot of cons and different
Yeah.
events, and he'll send me photos like, "Hey, is this worth any money? Is this any
Yeah.
good?" And I'm like, "No." Yeah, buy that. So
Yeah.
things like that. So I'm in a much better place, and there's no more stress. And I work about
Yeah.
like 40 to 45 hours a week, and it's awesome.
That's like the biggest thing. Like, a lot of people, pretty much everybody that works in corporate America they're subjected to sometimes horrible management and leaders. And
Yes.
and one of the things I talk about in what I do is you know so I work for a nonprofit doing
Hmm.
veteran suicide prevention,
Okay.
and that's what I tell folks. That like in the military, is like it's kind of a little bit different. We're taught to sacrifice ourselves so that others can be successful. That's
Okay.
that's the Captain America jumping on the grenade stuff. That. So and then we come out into corporate America where it's very much you sacrifice others so that you could be successful. Like a company will lay thousands of people off not because they're bad workers, just because to balance out the books,
Yeah, it's the bottom
type of
line.
deal.
It's really what it is.
But
Yeah.
then to get to a point where you can find a company to work for where you can take all those examples of bad management and bad bad leadership and that they and join a company that lets you do all the right things and the things that you
Mhm.
want to do is way more valuable than and if you get a good check on it, that's great too. But sometimes that's more valuable than the check not be able to be stressed out because I know where I stand every day. My boss isn't micromanaging me,
Mhm.
type of deal. But as CFO, uh, are you the guy that gets to tell everybody no? Marky, hey,
I
we want to
no,
do this. No, you
I
can't do
try.
that.
So the thing is, my title is CFO, but
Yeah.
I don't have anyone below me, right? I do everything. I don't have a team or
I'm talking
anything
about
here.
when the other departments come in and go, hey, marketing, we want to spend this much money. No.
Oh, so it's a smaller
Production, we want to spend
company.
this much money. No.
It's a much smaller company, so I try to say no to my the CEO a lot,
Yeah.
but he still does whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a partnership. They have three owners of the company,
Yeah.
and one of them, the CEO, is the one I'm close to.
Yeah.
And he just bought a McLaren
Yeah.
as a company car,
Well,
and I was like, "What the hell, dude?"
well, that's what I tell people too. Yeah, that's the other thing is that my my life got a lot easier at work because I used to be one of these folks who I would see better ways to do stuff, and
Mhm.
in my QA background, I could document, I could prove it, and then I would bring my ideas, and they would go nowhere sometimes, or they would just say no, and I would be like, well, okay, so is there something we can change to make it a yes? What do we have to make? Maybe because I don't have the whole picture type of deal.
Yep.
Um, but it's I should remember brain went off track here with it,
But
but also got to the point where I began to realize that my job was to give them my best, and when I saw ways to improve things,
mhm.
or is to bring that to their attention so they have all the information possible, and if they don't follow that or do it, then that's on them.
I agree
And
with you.
one of my bosses one day, he's like, well, listen, I said, this is your department to run into the ground any way you choose. But I'm telling you right now, if we don't do this, then we're going to have to do this. And then 6 months down the road, they'll come back because I was a prophet because I could see where this was going. So, and I think we all get frustrated, but very few people take that step where they go into like a situation like you, where that it's going to be a better benefit for you. So I work towards, and now I'm going to go in and not make all the mistakes I was subjected to.
Yeah, I
Growing
mean,
up. And so you get to tell the CEO no as part of your job, and it's up to him to do, and it's not on you because you did. It's your job. Is if you tell him yes when you should have told him no, then that's
mhm.
on you.
Exactly. Like, so I always say no most of the time anyway. But he's like, "Listen, I'm the CEO." I was like, "I know."
Yeah,
I was like, "You're," and he's also treasury. Like, I didn't take that responsibility. I didn't want it, so I was like, "No, you sign the checks. I don't want to sign anything."
yeah,
I was like, "I'll make sure it's at your table, ready to go, but
yeah,
I'm not signing shit."
yeah,
So, and that's how I like it. Like that, my name's off the table. So,
yeah,
but I mean, most of the time, when it comes to the more serious things, like I mean, granted, he bought a McLaren. I was a little against it, but he gave me
yeah.
the reasoning it was for business development. So I said, okay. I
Okay.
was like, I'll give it a year. I was like, 1 year. If you don't see any I don't see any business coming from it. You gotta sell it. So that was my agreement with him. He said he agreed
Nice.
to that. So I was like, okay, I'll do that then. But yeah. But yeah, no. Now today, I'm in a great situation, no stress or
Yeah.
very little stress. Hence why I started podcasting. That was
Yeah.
in I made the jump in October of 2023 as the CFO, and in 2024 I started podcasting because I had all this time, 30 hours of time for myself.
Yeah.
Now I was just like, man, what
Wow.
do I do with all this? I
Yeah.
can sleep now.
And I'm sure the family likes it too.
Oh, my kids love it
Yeah.
now. It's very different today, right? I mean,
Yeah.
granted, YouTube has kind of taken its own little chunk of that time because you're spending time
Yeah.
editing, you're spending time planning, you're spending time doing all this stuff,
Yeah.
or watching and trying to be in the know. But I've been doing my best to fit everything in.
Yeah. I know for me, like just this once a month, and then and I got to step up more on the regular videos too. I've got to slack behind. I got a lot of stuff in planning, but
Hmm.
with work and stuff like that. But I know that's a lot of work. So I can't imagine like some of the folks like twice a week plus content in between, and then the ones that like every night they're either on their channel or somebody else's channel. It's just like
It's crazy. I wouldn't be able to do it every night, that's for sure.
yeah,
Even like on the videos, and shorts and stuff I do, like
Yeah.
it's very lazy. I'm very lazy when it comes to that.
Yeah.
The big thing for the show is the lives. That's our biggest thing,
Yeah.
and I already know that. And I started doing videos and seeing and shorts. I mean, the channel originally grew when I wasn't doing the lives because I was doing shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of started out doing shorts because by the time I was able to afford a figure
Hmm.
or find it, then there was already 50 videos out there reviewing it. So I would just throw like this is the Iron Man from this movie. Here's what I like about it. Here's what I don't like about it. 30
Yeah.
seconds, I'm out.
No, I get
And
that.
then I started interacting with you guys and a few things. And then they had that one night where in the after show, Laser Pants said, "Hey, here's the stream. Come on in." And I came on and had a good time, and I kind of got the bug a little bit to do it. Then you extended yours, your open invitation for
Open mic.
Tuesdays. And I
Yeah.
kind of caught the bug a little bit for it.
Yeah.
Um, so you get to tell people no and don't spend the money. Then you get to come home and tell yourself yes to
Pretty
action
much.
figures.
Yeah.
So that's your outlet. But you kind of started with. Now, did you start with wrestling figures? Was that where it started, or was it like the
It
other
was
stuff?
no, it was wrestling figures. I mean, as a kid, it was mostly wrestling figures too, to be honest with you. But uh, getting into action figures, my friend in Maryland, it was pretty much the only person I would watch wrestling
Yeah,
with. As an adult, and when you work like a madman, you don't really get a lot of friends.
yeah,
So he was like the only friend I had in Maryland, at least. And it was I got a chance to see his like little toy room
yeah.
and everything, and that's what kind of caught me. Oh, hello, Laser
Hello,
Pants.
Liz
How are you
Pants.
doing?
Oh, I'm
Uh,
special. I feel special.
you got LP in the chat
Yeah,
now.
this is awesome. I could quit podcasting. This is I've hit the pinnacle. But but wrestling.
Yeah, so my friend, so I guess he was kind of embarrassed to show me. Like his wife kind of
uh,
forced him. We were at his house. Like my wife, it was my wife's best friend, one of her best friends, I should say. Her husband was a big wrestling fan, a big like one of us. He was a collector, right? He was a big
right.
Batman fan and a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So his wife said, "Oh, you haven't been downstairs in the basement yet. Oh, you got to go show Abhi." And like his name was Chris, and he was just like, no, it's okay." And I guess he was kind of worried, but when I
Yeah.
went down there, like I did the same reaction that someone normally has who's not a collector, and
Yeah.
then sees a giant room filled with toys. I was like, my
Yeah.
jaw dropped, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then I
Yeah.
started going to every single shelf. I was like, "Oh, I remember this. It was all wrestling, or it was like some DC stuff with Batman." And I was just like, we ended up down there for like an hour just talking about like different like the figures and like where they were from, and I was like, I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah.
uh, and then he gifted me a Eddie Guerrero elite figure
So were
for
you
my
a fan?
birthday.
So were you a fan of wrestling before the figures, or were the figures kind of where's your entry point into the world of wrestling?
I was 7 or 8 years old, and I watched Ultimate Warrior running out on TV, and that got me kind of engaged. And then I fell in love with Sting in
Okay.
WCW, and I was like once I was wrestling was there, I was hooked. So
Yeah.
I didn't really watch anything else. I stopped paying attention to everything else.
Well, so for me, it's like I said, I grew up in on Saturday afternoons when cartoons went off, wrestling came on TV, and it was all back
Hmm.
when everything was more regional. And
Yep.
like WCW was its own thing, WWF, and then I
Hmm.
think before that was WWF, and
Yep.
then
And
ACW, and then all the
NWA. Yep.
yeah, and there was actually a WWW, Worldwide Wrestling. It was no, it was crazy back in the 80s, and then it kind of got more formalized. And when they started doing more the pay per view stuff, and then of course
Yep.
then Sergeant Slaughter, became the head of the spokesman for GI Joe.
Hmm.
Um, and then and that whole story is amazing. How he Vince tried to screw him over, and then he did it anyway. And then when he wanted to come back into the WWF, Vince screwed him over. Because as I was in the Marine Corps in
Hmm.
the 90s, when he came back to the WWF and he had turned heel, And so I was
Yep.
kind of like, what is going on? Why is he doing this? This is yet. Yeah, so before they openly acknowledge us, these are all just storylines. So we're still stuck. And then we would watch it on the weekends
It
and
got
so
very real for him too.
yeah,
Actually, he was getting death threats.
yeah. So so it's probably around the start of the Attitude Era is when I dropped out
Okay,
of
you missed the
wrestling.
funnest part. That was really fun.
Yeah,
Attitude there.
but yeah, I caught like the glory days, Hulk Hogan and Nikolai
Yeah,
Volkov and Doink the Clown.
yeah.
Uh,
No,
you know,
you like the
uh,
character era, the era of the characters. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I get that.
the big boss man coming in with the 2x4 and George Animal Steel when he stole Miss Elizabeth from Macho Man,
You like the era of the characters is really
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
at. Yeah,
So well, and I am a character, so
yeah.
um, so and then I think it kind of like with it all consolidated down to everything was just WWE, and they had like their
Eventually,
off brands, and then uh, and so and plus I don't watch a lot of TV anyway now, so it's hard for me to get back in, you know, into it. And for the AEW being founded here in Jacksonville, they
Mhm.
don't do a whole lot here in Jacksonville.
They used to actually.
Yeah,
They used to do it all the time, but they had to grow. In order to grow, you got to
yeah,
start touring. You got to go to different places.
yeah.
So
It's almost like
they
they've
were,
forgotten about Jacksonville. It's kind of like
they were there for a very long time until.
yeah,
I mean, again, if you need to come, if you as you're growing, you got to start hitting different
yeah,
spots.
yeah.
So
I'm afraid like a lot of their talent winds up going into the WWE eventually. It seems like
it's a trade
yeah,
off.
yeah. So
It's they go
it's
back and
almost yes, it's almost going to be like the how they try to do with when they absorbed WCW into they kind of like tried to keep it as a separate brand. That was it. Shane McMahon was supposed to be the
yeah,
rival, but it actually was just the farm team for you
yeah.
know. I mean, so but didn't I hear that is it the WCW that's coming back that the guy from Smashing Pumpkins bought it and is like
Mm,
developing it.
I didn't hear that, but that's interesting news.
Yeah, I saw a video of him talking about bringing
Maybe
because
the just the rights. The library is what's worth the money.
yeah, well, I think
The
that's what he's got the
history.
right to. I think it's going to be a whole new, but he's building off the
Yeah.
history of it because yeah, evidently he was a big wrestling fan, and now that he's
Okay.
retired rock star, with literally billions in the bank, and right, so that he's like, bringing that back. So
I mean, that's interesting,
and
actually.
maybe another contender out there for
Billy
belts.
Corrigan owns NWA.
Oh,
Oh,
NWA. Okay, so
okay, okay. So it's
I knew it
NWA.
was one of those defunct brands that was bought originally by WWE, and they just probably kind of like Action Force. They lost the trademark on it.
Yeah.
So
Well, NWA is also it never really left. It was always around, but it became less popular and it was about to go bankrupt. That's probably when he bought it, I'm assuming, and it's changed a lot. Like
yeah,
I've heard they're making more noise, which is great. It's good for them. So
yeah. I thought
it's
that
always
because
nice
I
to
was
see that.
surprised. Yeah, so I was surprised when I saw that. So
Yeah.
um, and then in part of it is I got my wife. She's very tolerant of a lot of stuff because we're both kind of gamer geeks
Okay.
and stuff like that, and Star Wars and stuff like that. So we kind of always the toy collecting's always been a thing, and she realizes too that there's a lot worse things I could spend my money on, than that.
Like heroin.
It keeps me happy, So it's
Yeah.
but it's like the wrestling, she just couldn't get her head wrapped around that, and that's
I
it's
give
such
my
a
wife a lot
super
of credit, honestly,
yeah
because ever since we got married, it's always been crazy. You know what? Before I was a collector of a lot of random crap, right?
yeah
Before toys, I was collecting movies. So when my wife and I started dating, I had like a 20-foot wall of shelves, and it was all like Blu-rays, DVDs, and all that crap.
yeah.
And then somehow I got into watches, and I was collecting watches. I had over
Ooh,
like 50. That was an expensive
oh,
one.
that's yeah.
Yeah. I had over 50 high brand, like high end watches, and I was just like, this is. Eventually, I got into toys, and then everything else kind of fell apart, and I started getting rid of a lot of the watches. Even the movies got put away, and now it's just action figures. I haven't left that yet, and I don't plan to at this point because I
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's been the most fun. and
Yeah.
then getting the chance to meet a lot of different people, and which is like the biggest part about it, right? Like just I was at IshCon, and people are coming up to me and talking to me, and I'm going up to other people, and it's just having fun talking to like-minded people, and it's always been fun. Like they're showing me some figure that they just picked up and what they like about it, and we're talking about some of the figures I have at my table. It's always a good experience, just chatting it up with other fellow nerds.
Well, that's always been like, there's a stigma attached, to toy collecting, you know, but then I go back and say, well, I remember back like in the 50s and 60s, grown men had hobbies.
Yes.
It was either cars, but someone like had like train sets and slot cars. But
Yep.
the big part of that was going to like the store, and hanging out with all the other collectors and talking, and then, hey, why don't you come over and check out? Built this O gauge in my basement, or
Hmm.
we're going to do this, and we're gonna have a slot car tournament and stuff like that. And it's just that, the what's collected has been changed, but then I think when you have that community, and I know people hate that community word, but they don't understand.
I don't
But
hate that community word. I love that word.
yeah, because I'm all about building community. That's what my job does, and that's what I
Yeah.
do. That's it's just gotta, and sometimes you have to gatekeep to keep people that want to come in and destroy the hobby, because there are people that for collect, but for whatever reason they just want to mess with people's happiness. So
I
that's
mean, there's a lot of, I mean, again, just like everywhere else,
yeah,
there's a lot of toxicity and negativity everywhere. You have to learn to ignore it or to try to stay out of it. I mean, at this point, I've tried hard to avoid it, and
yeah,
it'll show up too. It shows up all the time, but
yeah,
you just have to try to stay clear or just ignore at this
yeah.
point.
And I don't, and I know, again, like the positivity police and all that stuff, but I think what we've been able to do with like YouTube though
Mhm.
is to create those circles of
Yes.
community, and I can pick and choose what channels I want to watch. So there was something that as I started into this, there's some channels I watch I don't watch now because I've learned more about what they do and how they operate and how they treat other people. And it's like, well, that's not something I want to waste my time.
Yeah.
My time is precious, and I'd rather spend it on people that actually love the hobby, and
Yeah.
then and uh can complain about things the hobby. And like I said, and I understand like when I'll bash Hasbro too, and some people get on it, but I know the people that I watch consistently do it because it's out of a thing that we remember how you used to be, and we know what you can be, and we're just really disappointed you're not living up to your potential. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like a kid, your face. That's
I mean,
I love you, but I hate what you're doing right now.
the
It's
thing is with every company, right? The thing is, I don't blame Hasbro on their decision making. Every company
yeah,
needs to make a profit.
yeah,
Hasbro's a giant. It's a giant. They probably have thousands of people in
yeah.
payroll, and that's normally the one. Normally, I mean, manufacturing. I'm sure there's a lot more expensive cost, but labor is also very, very
Oh
expensive.
yeah.
Uh, so, and that's for a lot of companies, that's their biggest cost. What's up, Talib? How you doing,
Hey,
man? Um,
yeah,
but you
he's
you
a great
just
guy.
yeah, he's yes, he is.
Yeah, they did that Renegade after show one night, him and Max, and I jumped on it and had a really good time with those two guys. So
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Max and Talib are both awesome people. So I 100% agree with what you're saying.
yeah,
Uh, but just I people, the companies need to see a profit, and that's the
yeah,
biggest thing. I mean, it is Hasbro's a publicly traded company, so their financials are reported. And I haven't. I know LP had showed it off once
yeah,
on his show, but I haven't personally looked at them. But I'm sure there's holes somewhere that you could break down. But the biggest thing is every company needs to make a profit, otherwise the company's not going to exist
yeah,
anymore. And that's really why you see a lot of companies take the cheaper route when you do stuff.
yeah,
And sometimes that's okay. You know, I mean, like let's look at. I'm holding a figure right now. This one,
yeah,
we've had this buck how many times?
yeah. That's the third.
Exactly.
third
Am I complaining? No, I still think it looks great.
yeah,
It articulates really well. I'm having fun playing with it right now. The whole time we've been on, I've been playing with this figure, and it's fun. I like the color scheme on it as well. But it is technically it's a repaint. That's all it
yeah,
is. and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not complaining
Well,
about
well,
it.
the problem would come in is if we're on the sixth repaint of the Praetorian, and to cut costs, they changes the plastic or something in the manufacturing that causes the arms to fall off. And then
No,
when
I agree with that.
and then when the customer brings it up, they're just like,
You want me to tell you a company that had an issue like that?
well, I there's several. But which one is the?
The one that you're collecting right now.
Yeah, I've heard the story about the.
They
So
went to a cheaper plastic and
yeah,
they started having more breaks.
see, but I'm coming in at a good time. That's the
Yes, but now
it's like
they fixed it. They fixed that
yeah.
problem.
Well, like I was told, my dad used to tell me that you never buy. I mean, it's fun to buy a new car,
Hmm.
but you get a lot of new car problems when you buy one. And my dad always says, yeah, if you're going to you try to buy, he said, never buy a used car, a new car. Buy like a 2-year-old used car because by then
Hmm.
it's had all the things that'll break and the warranties will fix. All the bugs will be worked out by
Yeah,
the time you get it. And so that's kind of like I'm coming in on the Mythic Legions, train, after all the problems. The problem,
the thing
but
is,
they addressed those problems. There was a place, but eventually they addressed it and said, "Well, Hasbro will just send you a new figure of a Transformer when you ordered a GI Joe, and you complain that it's broken
for the first
because for them it's about price point. It's not about satisfying the customer."
well, at the beginning though, people were getting hushed.
Yeah,
Their posts were being deleted and stuff like that.
yeah,
And that was the biggest problem. But they did attend to it. Those guys they went to China, went to
yeah,
the factories and figured out what was going on. Now their figures are much better, obviously, right? They fixed that problem.
yeah,
But there was a noticeable difference in the. That's what got me out of the line.
yeah,
I'll be the first one to tell you. I bought the entire wave, and every single figure in the wave I opened, every
yeah,
single figure had a QC or a break on it.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
I tell my kids, I learned this back in my customer service days, and I told my kids we were at a restaurant one time and the service was horrible and all this stuff, and we were patient. We're not screaming at anybody, because we understand this is it's tough. And then at the end, the manager came over and I told her this is the kind of service we got, and she just kept telling me all the stuff that had happened that
mhm.
night, which is I get that, and I'm kind of built to want to know the reasons why something happened. I said, but I told my kids, I said now, good customer service, what they do is they don't tell you when you call customer service or you talk to a manager, you don't care why things happen. You just want to know what are they going to do to fix the problem. But what are
Yeah,
you going to do? To do that. I said
that's
so.
that's a very good point. I mean, that's what they want to do. They
Yeah,
want the fix.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
nobody cares. I mean, I said I care because I'm curious about the whys behind
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's it's like when watching 3PO and Bobby starts going off on all this stuff in manufacturing in China and all the ins and outs of the nitty gritty of it. I love that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I was the kid that would take stuff apart to figure out why it worked, and I wasn't good at putting it back together
Okay.
again, type of deal. So I'm just built that way. But I said, but most people they just want to know, I'm not happy. What are you going to do to fix the problem? And companies that do that, where they fix the problem, or find ways to accommodate you, those have always been, and that's why I read about Valver's customer service. When something happens, they fix it,
Well, they
and
also in advance tell you,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is which is also very nice of them because
yeah.
a lot of companies don't do that either. They
Well,
don't.
it's a, and you probably know what this is. I can't think what the name of it is. Where they sit there, they look at how much will it cost us to fix this problem in a recall versus just letting everybody find out there's a problem. We fix them individually.
Yeah.
you know,
Or just like what he's doing now, like Bobby's giving out for was it Atlas, right? That he's giving out that
yeah,
extra hip piece because of the QC issue from factory, and that's awesome. Savage Crucible is giving out the feet for the Lemurians. That's great.
yeah,
They're all doing that. Being able to say, hey, yeah, there was an issue, and then here's how we're rectifying it,
yeah,
and we're giving free replacement parts.
yeah,
The issue with the Vanguard, you could order the things for free on Valorverse.com.
yeah,
That's huge.
yeah,
That's how I look at it, and a lot of companies don't do that.
yeah.
They'll just replace the figure if something breaks. or tell
Yeah,
you they don't have any more in stock and give you something of equal value.
yeah. And I can, and what I tell folks is what that too is that kind of stuff. What that does is it builds trust,
Yes.
with the customer. So for those times when you have to, as a company, say, listen, this is happening, we can't do this, you know, then you go, okay, because you've built that margin with me
Hmm.
that you treated me so well in the past that I fully understand that this is something that just cannot be fixed. Um, and I'm going to give you that. I want to extend that that margin of forgiveness, too,
Hmm.
because you've been so honest and upfront with me, you know, you know, up until this
And
point. And I think
I
a lot of
mean, that's
companies
huge
forget
though.
that.
Yeah. But you have to also understand from the perspective of the size. Size
Yeah,
plays a big role too. Like
yeah,
we're talking about much smaller companies right now,
yeah.
not your Hasbro's or your Mattels.
But I believe those, like the Hasbro's and Pattels, could do that if they wanted to, and
Yeah,
actually
but
be more successful.
that's more labor.
Yeah. But also too, what they're also do, but what they're also too is they're. I think one of the worst things ever done was forcing companies to do quarterly reports,
Yeah.
because what that does, that focuses everybody on short term gains, which causes short term thinking.
I mean, you got to make the shareholders happy. Otherwise,
Yeah,
what's the point?
yeah. But the thing, but reporting quarterly is kind of like I said. I think it just makes everybody focus on things, because to me it's a it's an infinite game. You know that
Yeah.
that you're any company, small, big, large. It's all you're doing is there's no real winners or losers. Just everybody plays until they run out of resources. That's or they drop out or something like that. Another company comes and takes their place. So those that think long term ahead, that where we want to actually be,
Hmm.
and realize that maybe in the short term we're going to have to accept some losses as long as keeps moving us forward our long term vision. But then once you hit to $1 billion company, it all becomes about quarter, and
But I mean, again,
I'm not a businessman. I don't run a company. There's just
no, I
things
get
I've
what you're
observed over
saying.
the years.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but
Yeah,
it has to be profitable every single time. Otherwise, I mean, if one huge loss, if let's just say tomorrow a company that we like or support decide to make a toy and it went the wrong direction. People didn't invest into it. Customers didn't want it. They want to buy it. They took a huge loss on it. That for smaller companies, that loss can put them under.
yeah,
And that's where the billion-dollar companies play a role because having different lines of revenue is a huge thing. Right now, these small companies, the only line of revenue is selling that line of action figures that they have, and then you have to watch
yeah,
overhead. You have to watch, you have to pay for rent. You have to pay for labor. You have to pay for manufacturing, shipping, and all that stuff. Marketing, all that. It costs money. All of it costs money. Nothing
oh
is
yeah,
free, which is why you need a good finance person always watching.
yeah. Well, and I
Um,
think it's also, because a lot of these companies you start up, this is a guy or two in a garage somewhere thinking, hey, we can make action figures,
yep.
and not realizing that you need to start a company, and you may only have one or two people, that you first need to like sit down and get on a whiteboard and write down every position you need as if you were a big company, and then write your name in every box until you get to the point where you can hire somebody, to take
I
that.
mean, the good thing is you can outsource a lot of the positions, and that's
Yeah,
really what helps and works.
yeah.
But and like some of the costs. Insurance alone.
Oh yes.
Some people can't afford insurance
I
alone.
used to work insurance, and I can tell you
Yeah.
all about that scam. So
No, I get it. I mean, trust me. I looked at insurance. I had to get $1 million insurance if I was going to start my own consulting firm.
yeah,
At least a minimum of $1 million.
liability. Yep.
Yeah, liability insurance. And I was looking at that. I was like, dude, holy shit, how expensive this is.
Yeah,
That's insane. I was like, I don't want to spend this. This is a startup cost right off the bat,
yeah,
like before day one, and you're spending all that
yeah,
before day one, and that's insane.
yeah. And that's like I said, in all insurances is a gamble. You're
Yeah.
betting, that something bad's going to happen, and they're
Yep.
betting that something's not going to happen. And then
exactly.
It's just the problem is when something bad happens, they try to screw you out what they say
Yeah, exactly.
after it. So this
But
is yeah.
but again, it's a requirement for most companies.
But it also like one of the problems too is that there's a everybody on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook are experts at everything.
Wait,
So they
wait,
so
you're telling me you're not an expert?
no, I'm not. And I'm very open about it. So I mean, but I'll make comments on stuff, because I have opinions, and then when I find out a
Mhm.
little bit more, I okay, well, I didn't know that, or I was wrong on
Yeah.
that because I'm always learning new stuff. So, but there's just some people that they double down when they're ignorant or don't have absolutely no idea what they're talking about,
Well, I
and
mean, a
then
lot
it's
of
like,
people think they're always right too. So,
yeah,
I mean, again, YouTube is a lot of different personalities that you're meeting and seeing,
yeah,
and I mean, again, like open mic night is a good example of this. I feel like we have a good mix of people who show up, and again, the one thing all very different.
yeah,
All very different, but the one common ground is the action figures, the
yeah,
toys, the geek life. I'm not into comic books, but a lot of you guys
yeah,
are, and you guys read them. You talk about them. That's awesome, right?
yeah,
Like I was funny. I think Talib, the day we had D Amazing on the show, and Talib, D Amazing made a comment that he collects Transformers, and they
yeah,
started talking about Transformers. He was joking with me about it, saying that, man, as soon as the D and I started talking about Transformers, you just got really quiet. I was like, yeah, because I don't collect it. But I
yeah.
was listening to you guys talking. That I didn't want to interrupt either because, like, I know you guys are having fun talking about this.
Yeah. Well, in this, I wish people understood this more too. That the toy space, it is really, it's kind of like so like in the military. I tell folks when I'm out there talking with veterans, it's like it's
Hmm.
one of the few places where you have everybody from every demographic.
Yes.
White, black, across the racial spectrum, women, gay, straight, Christians, pagans,
Everything. Yeah.
millionaires, and people coming right out of out of deep poverty,
Hmm.
all around gathering around a certain thing, and this is kind of like that too.
It is
Like I
100%.
said, so
100%.
mean, you have somebody that voted for Democrats next to somebody who voted for Republicans, going, yeah, that ROM space nine is a cool toy.
But
And I want one too.
but
You like too? We can talk about that.
the best part though is those things don't matter
Yeah,
when, and this is the stuff that puts this all together, and
yeah,
that's I tell people a lot, like at the con, especially at the cons,
yeah,
like some people get afraid to go to cons or get nervous, and I'm just like, no, go to cons, because it's going to be people like you.
yeah,
They want to sit there and geek out, and that's
yeah,
what you do at cons. Like I did again, like I was a vendor at the IshCon just now, and there was people coming up to me having like 12 to like 12, 15-minute conversations just about random stuff, about like whether it's a movie, a comic book, or something geek, something personal that kind of reminded of something at the con. It was awesome. It was a great
yeah,
way of talking to people, and that's why I love the cons so much, because you meet a lot of people, and then you also make friends that way.
yeah. So, is there uh like something you like a show, or or something that you enjoy that doesn't yet have a toy line that you would like for it to have a toy line,
A show that doesn't have
or
a
a
toy.
show, or a book, or or a movie, or
I don't
you
read.
know, uh,
I don't read at all.
you had problems reading, so
Yeah.
that's why I threw movies in there. Movies are like books, but they do the talking.
Hmm. I'm trying to think if there is something that like I would have loved. Like I'm a big fan of figures based off of real people.
Okay,
I kind of noticed that in my collecting pattern and my collecting habits. Like I started with wrestling, right? That was
yeah,
based off of real people. And when I switched away from wrestling, I went to Star Wars. A lot of that was based off of real people as well.
see,
And
I'm kind of the opposite, because so for me the wrestling, I have a couple wrestling figures
mhm,
in Star Wars, but those for me they're based off of characters.
Well, in the sense of
So,
characters of real people that I've seen in like on TV or
well,
something.
I got like one of the few Valverse figures I completely passed on was the Desert Rat
Okay.
because I've watched Tony's videos and stuff like that, and to me he was a person first, and I just couldn't
Hmm.
see having an action figure in my in my collection that I would that that wouldn't because in my imagination, my lore, my head canon,
Hmm.
Tony wouldn't really act this way in the so but like the Sergeant Slaughter figure because he's always been a character to me, an actor playing a role. Type deal.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is Mark Hamill playing a role, but I don't think I would have like in my Marvel collection. I've never gotten a Stan Lee
Hmm.
legend or any of that. It's kind of the same. Is it something about my brain that won't hook those two up into? Um,
Got
you know,
you. I mean, again,
but
we're all
it's
different in
just a
many
quirk.
different
But
ways.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started, honestly. Even with Marvel Legends, I started doing more MCU.
yeah,
That's what piqued my interest, and I was doing the MCU stuff for the longest time. Then I finally got into the comic book stuff. Even like at the time there was like Mattel, DC Mattel,
yeah,
and I was doing more like the DCEU figures than anything else. But today's a little different, right? Today's I've at this point I'm just kind of doing my own thing.
yeah,
I like the concept that Ninja had said. This is I mix everything together.
yeah,
This is my own story, and that's what I'm kind of going with at this point. I want my own story.
yeah,
So now the shelves are turning into my own story. As you can see, the Cobras are all gone.
yeah.
They're pretty much all gone. And now I'm building out my own story, and I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Now, I know you talked about this on your side for your fight. So you're doing a
Shadaloo
shadow.
shelf, but it's gonna be. I have some GI Joes, like some of the
Yeah,
Cobra stuff still left, like
yeah,
the Crimson Guards,
yeah,
and I kept the Iron Grenadiers as well. And I kept Destro and Baroness.
yeah,
Those I kept because they joined Shadaloo as well.
yeah. So were you
Uh,
live? Were you a fan of the live action movie,
of the
Street
GI Joe.
Fighter?
Oh,
No,
Street
Street
Fighter. Oh,
Fighter.
I love it. It was so bad that it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
to me,
I was
Rod
gonna watch it
Julia,
the other
Rod
day.
Julia was the best because he brought we're in a movie where everybody was phoning it in.
Uh huh.
He was not phoning it in. I know he knew he was dying and all this stuff, but he was full on, and then just that line with him where Chung Lee's just going over about you coming in and killed my father. He's just sitting there mixing a drink, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I don't remember any of that." for you, the day Bison Glacier Village was the most important day of your life. For me, it was a Tuesday.
So I
I
mean, the thing
love
is,
that.
he played a role of like multiple different dictators, and he did a
Yeah,
great job doing it.
yeah.
So I mean, I thought it was so bad that it was good. I was actually trying to look for it the other day too because I wanted to watch it again. Um, I have
I
it
wish
somewhere on Blu-ray.
I wish Jada would make since they're doing so good with the Street Fighter figures for the video game.
Hmm.
That I don't want them to make the likeness of the characters from the movie, but I'd like to see them in the outfits from the movie. You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
I get what you're saying. Some of them, yeah. I
Like I don't
mean,
want a Kylie Minogue Cammy. I want Cammy in the UN uniform that
okay,
they did in the in Bison in his uniform and
yeah.
Zangief with the full the coat mock up and stuff like that. And,
I mean that's something different.
yeah,
They're probably going to pick up another game line, to be honest with you, from Street Fighter, and do that next. So they're almost done. So
yeah.
there's only a few handful of figures that need to be released after Blanca and Sagat.
Is it? Are they going to do T Hawk from that line?
Yeah, yeah. T Hawk is a part of
Okay.
it too, and then was it not M Bison? Sorry, Balrog.
Okay.
Balrog will be there too, and then Vega and E
Was
Honda.
I'm trying to remember back when that game came out. If was Akuma like a hidden character in that game, or was that in the
Akuma is
follow-on game?
also they've already announced Akuma also. So
Okay,
yeah, that's the fifth one. So that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
There's only a handful, and that's it. It's done.
So I was in Japan when Street Fighter Two came out on
Hmm.
video games, and because they have those video game parlors out there, and because we just like we played Street Fighter back in the States, but then when Street Fighter Two was like, I pumped a lot of yen
Hmm.
into that machine, during that. So, and I like the figure. I went and I bought a coat. I got the Fei Long because that was one of my favorite ones, and a Chung Li
Yeah,
figure. And I like it, right now. Walmart's only got like that and the Ryu, but I'd like to get the T Hawk and maybe a Sagat or Vega. Definitely Vega.
yeah.
That was always a favorite of mine too.
I mean, I buy them all. Player 1, 2, and the exclusives. So I know Guile just came out for Player 2. He has
Yeah,
a really good intro.
yeah.
I was watching that.
That's the way I got to work on. Like I said, if I decide to go in, because you can't do intros on the free StreamYard, so that's one of the things I want to kind of look at. As I get close to the end of the year, if I'm going to go ahead and pay the money to upgrade, and then figure out how to cut videos, do intros, outros, and backgrounds, and
But you could
all the cool YouTuber stuff.
on the free StreamYard, you could do a video play, right? Or no, you can't
Yeah,
play video.
you can do clips, but to do like set it out to set it up where it runs all like with an intro and an outro video, you have to have the and also media. Let's see.
I just do it the hard way. Then I just play a video.
Yeah,
I just click the button for the video.
like occasionally I'll do like because I had an AI program write me a theme song, which is pretty banging. And I just embedded that into a PowerPoint slide. And
Okay.
then every once in a while I'll play that at the beginning of the show, but it's like a 3-minute long song. So I'm just like, I kind of, I'd rather just get into the fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean,
This is what I came here for. Hopefully the audience came here for this.
I mean, I don't do the entire song. The songs that I've come up with AI, it's just like I'll pick out for at least for the intro and outro, it's like a minute. Yeah.
And that's what I do. I really need to get in like in just my basic computer stuff. I got some basic editing tools where I can cut and clip, and I got to sit down and make myself, do it. I'm a hands-on. I can read, but then I've got to actually see again. I got to see how something works for me to fully understand it and do it. So,
got you.
I'm surprised I've gotten this far with the YouTube stuff.
I mean, honestly, I try to stay away from my laptop when I do editing, so everything is done on my phone or my iPad.
Wow.
Everything is done. Like my phone has the AI stuff. I use what is it? I'm skipping my name. I'm forgetting the name of it. Canva. I use Canva for a lot of my short videos, and I even some of the long form stuff I've done in Canva. Talib recently recommended CapCut.
Okay.
So
my phone is basically just to make phone calls, send emails, watch Facebook and YouTube, and play Monster Hunter. So
got you.
That's all I use my phone for.
Yeah, I hate sitting in front of my laptop.
And I do take photography with that. That's all the stuff I post on the 3PO website and stuff like that. It's the stuff I use because I have an okay editing, inbuilt editing software with with what the phone comes with on that. So so I do that, and shorts I'll shoot shorts with that. So. And then that's why the streamer thing they helped me start doing more long form. So the few long form videos where I go back and talk about meeting Larry Hama, the 2 times I met him, and or like I run down to the first 13 Iron Man armors, Marvel Legend figures, stuff like that. I do that off the computer. The streamer helped me do the record, and I use PowerPoint for all that. So where I take the photos, I'll get them over PowerPoint and arrange them and share the screen, stuff like that. So I'm kind of probably doing that the hard way too, but eventually I'll learn the easier way. But sometimes the hard way is one of the best ways to learn. Learn because it sticks. There's a lot of pain and it sticks to you.
No, I agree with you, but finding efficiencies, making your life easier is the best thing to do. And that's how I look at it. I mean, I still share like videos and or I share my screen and just show off photos.
Yeah,
I don't do like LP does the PowerPoint stuff. He's too bougie. Yeah.
Well, PowerPoint because I've used that for years. Doing presentations, stuff like that, and I use it in my daily life when I go do the suicide prevention training. I'm comfortable with that, so that helps out.
I mean, that's also another thing, right? If it's ease of use and you're comfortable, then it's not hard for you. So it's different in that manner, right?
Yeah. So we're coming kind of close to the end here.
Yep.
And so So I know Figure Fight Club. It started out as something else, and then you transitioned into the Figure Fight Club, and you kind of like started doing stuff on Tuesdays and then Friday. Oh, you started doing stuff on Fridays, and you expanded to the Tuesday night open mic, which I think was great because it's a different format than what you do on Friday and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So, do you have like another plan for the next phase of Figure Fight Club, or if you
Not.
do and you don't want to share it with you, that's okay.
I'm growing the team out right now. As you
Okay.
recently we've gotten some new co-hosts.
Yeah.
So the team is growing. I'm still debating if I should bring in one more or not. Um, and then after that, we'll see what changes happen.
Yeah.
Brandon leaving wasn't. It was expected. I was able
Yeah.
to see that he was going to leave soon. So, but we still talk. I mean, he called me
Oh
earlier
no.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and he'll probably come back once he breaks up with that girl.
Yeah.
I'm not wishing that upon him though, but I just it's interesting how that changes people.
You could always
Uh,
go out and get another girlfriend, but action figures are that's a permanent thing. Yeah.
Not really. You could sell them and rebuy them.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, trust me.
How many times my collection has started over again?
Exactly. I've
Uh,
circled so many times. I mean, this is like GI Joe's. Like that's a
yeah.
good one. Like I've done it
Yeah.
twice already.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's fine. I joke. I tell my wife. I tell her, I married her when I realized I could not do any better than her, and before she realized she could do better than me. That's a sweet spot. So every once in a while, we'll be talking, and somebody said, I said, I already proved I could marry above my station. Don't make me do it again.
that's funny.
And then she laughs at me and says, nobody wants you. And I'm like, you're right. It's like, we're pretty funny. We're a fun couple. People look at us, they can't believe how we talk to each other sometimes. It's like, but we're both veterans too, so it's kind of like
Okay.
we
See,
cut each other. So
I mean, I see. The thing is, I like that because you got to joke. You should be able to joke around with your spouse and have
yeah,
fun. Like I flirt with my spouse every day.
yeah,
I mess around with her, and then I also do things that piss her off every day just to make sure she's.
yeah,
You got to keep them guessing, right? That's how
yeah,
I look at it.
yeah,
So I always do that just to mess around. But again, like she is amazing. Like she's an enabler.
yeah.
My wife. It was funny. I think Lou. So like Lou Caruso came to my wife's birthday party on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
I had to leave the show at night after the show was done. Uh, and I left on Saturday, and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting dinner at the party, and then I'm gonna come back." So Lou came with me, got some dinner, and then he met my wife and like my family was there too, and she was having a birthday party, so all her friends were there. And then I was like, "All right, Lou, let's get out of here. I gotta go to my house." So I gave him a tour of my house when he was here, and then my wife had came home by then. By the time we were leaving, I had packed up like more inventory to take to the show.
Yeah,
And then by the time we were leaving, my wife came back, and I was like, I made a comment to her quickly, like, "Hey, honey," I was like, "just an FYI, I have a tab of $1,000 already with Dollarverse," and she goes, "Okay." That's what, and then he looks at it, he goes,
yeah,
"Okay." That's all. He's like, "Dude, that's awesome." I was like, "Oh yeah." She was like, she's like 1,000 is nothing,
yeah.
so she knows how I get at these shows. So
So yeah, to leave, editing is probably going to be the next thing I have to learn because all my long form videos I do it all in one take. And I can't tell you how many times I've messed up something and I've had to go back and start over again because it's just I just I practice. I do it just like a live speech, and I practice it beforehand, and all that stuff. And then when I hit the play button, I just
you gotta put them in
run
segments,
with it.
though.
And
You gotta break them up.
then start break it up. So it's something it's going to be a process to learn, and I'll
Mhm.
do like different things. I'll reach out to folks that are here on YouTube, and I'll watch YouTube videos on it. So it's been amazing, especially and also the amount of encouragement that we
Yeah.
have in this community of see how many people out of the 3PO have spun off into their own, uh, their own shows on, and then like I said, I think I'm grateful for you giving me letting me share your platform on Tuesdays. And I tell you, the one Tuesday I came on was the Tuesday that we were that everybody had to have a product to show.
Yeah, the
Um,
enabler edition one.
yeah, I was so excited because I had a product, and I'd put it on my desk, and it's a mess right now. And I'm constantly moving things around.
Mhm.
And so when it came time for the show, I pulled and I found the accessory bag, and I couldn't find the main figure.
What was it?
And it's these little things off of Amazon. They're called T13. They're these little they're printed. They're 3D
Uh-huh.
printed like little 5.5 inch to they have some that are like 8.5 inches, and they're little articulated little robot guys in different colors. And they have like sword accessories and
Hmm.
little
Oh, yeah,
dogs that
yeah.
are printed that way.
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
They're so cool, and I bought one just to have fun with, and it's about the size. You have a 6-inch frequency. You have your Joes like use them as target practice and stuff like
Yeah.
that, little bots. And I couldn't find the main bag that had the dog and the figure in it, and they're like between $8 and $13, and some of them have like angels wings and all kinds of accessories. And so I could shill that,
Yeah.
and I was just so upset. And I was like scrambling, digging through all the crap I got back here. I haven't sorted yet. I was getting very frustrated. So I was like, I couldn't do it. So,
Okay.
but I do appreciate the opportunity that you've provided, and and all the folks. So like I said, I know it's 10:30, and I know
Mhm.
you've come back from a very busy weekend,
Listen, I'm
and
just
you've got
gonna open
tomorrow to
up more
prepare for.
toys. I'm only
And
opening up
that's got
toys.
to and I'm slowing you down from that,
And,
but I do
no.
appreciate coming. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and we haven't had a lot of people tonight watch it, but a lot of people are going to catch us on the replay.
Yeah.
And
Hey, this was fun though. I
yeah,
like talking like this a lot, so this is
yeah,
it's always fun doing this. So.
yeah. Like I said, the only I did is so I could do that. It's kind of like uh, I listened to Conan O'Brien has a podcast,
Oh,
and that
okay.
was it. And he said the only reason why I started this is like he said during my talk show,
Mhm.
I only meet somebody for like 5 to 10 minutes. And so then I go, I would really love to sit down and have a long conversation with that person. So that's his excuse to invite famous people on. They just want to have a long conversation with and get to know them better.
You know, the funny thing is, that's what my Friday show is. I just
Yeah.
invite famous people on and just have long conversations
Yeah.
with them.
And that's what, because I kind of see, again, like you said, I don't believe there's a magic formula to this, but I see them when a lot of these shows when they first start out, they kind of follow that same same formula,
Mhm.
and I like talking about collections and stuff like that too. But we do that all the time. And so I just want to do
Yeah.
something like get to know you better, and the way like and all the other folks I've interviewed before, and we'll soon interview. Which next month, I'll have the date. I'll do probably the next day or two. I'll put the thumbnail for it. We're going to go behind the wrench
Behind the
and
wrench.
talk to because there's a lot. We have a lot of regular moderators in all these different shows, and they do a great job. I'm not to the point where I need a moderator yet, so when I get, I'll probably ask them to hold a wrench too. So,
Yep.
but it's a role keeper is gonna come on here, and we're gonna get to know them. These guys that keep this whole machine running and keep it smooth, and especially in the rowdiness of a Tuesday night open mic, the chat gets rowdy, and especially on the other shows. So that's what we're doing here. Again, like I said, I'm marching on the road to 500. Let's see where I'm at right now. Here, real quick on that.
And you'll definitely get there, man. Just
Oh
you
yeah,
get stay consistency is the biggest thing when it
yeah.
comes to
One
YouTube.
140 147 is where my subscribers are at,
Hell
which
yeah.
is when I started this back in 5 months ago.
Mhm.
I had like 3 subscribers. So
So it's
yeah,
been good.
yeah,
You've been growing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's enjoying. So I've been enjoying it, but I like it to grow, but and I like being part of things too. So again, appreciate having you have me on. I appreciate you taking your time. Like I said, it's kind of asking people this time of year and convention season. It's kind of
Mhm.
kind of hard. So I do appreciate you just coming back from a very big one and like one you've been planning for, coming on site and sharing a little bit about that. Give us a few little scoops that I know that probably tomorrow night you're going to share. But with that, is there anything you'd like to say or promote or do before I get you out of here?
Um, Oh yeah, I'm Figure Fight Club. We have a show Tuesdays at 8 p.m., which is the open mic night, and then Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern is I call it like the main show.
Yeah, the main event.
I need to give it a title. It's just Figure Fight Club, to be honest. And then thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and thank you.
All right. Well, with that, everybody have a good night. You can go back to watching whatever else you're watching for the 6 people that showed up tonight. But I know a lot of people are going to catch us on the replay. It'll pop up and they'll remind them. And I do get a lot of folks pop on the replay. Take care, Talib. And everybody have a great evening.
Take care, guys.
Yep, and press the right button.